this was just an idea, and now you're all here, and there's actual jewelry, and there's falafel. I mean, come on, that's very exciting. But thank you so much to Maya for hosting us, and to Mara. You guys have been so helpful in this process. But just to kind of go off of what Mara was just saying about the tribe. So if you're Jewish, or even if you're not Jewish, you might know that a lot of Jews have this funny thing where we say we're members of the tribe, right? So it's this reference back to the 12 tribes of Israel, and it's meant to kind of symbolize that we're all part of something, bigger than ourselves, and then we have these things in common. So when I started envisioning what Tribelle was going to be, I had those same ideas in mind, but what I wanted to do was build a different kind of tribe, a community kind of around this shared desire that I think all of you have, because you're here, that female entrepreneurs around the world are really a powerful force, and that empowering female entrepreneurs can really change the world. And particularly, I'll talk to you a little bit about the entrepreneurs that I've had a chance to get to know in Israel. But so that's kind of the underlying theme tonight, is building this community, this kind of tribe around this central idea. And Tribelle, it is a jewelry collection, but for me it's about much more than just selling jewelry. So with every purchase of jewelry that you make, I'm going to donate a portion of the proceeds back into organizations in Israel that equip women with business skills. So organizations that are helping to train kind of the next generation of female entrepreneurs, and organizations that a lot of the women that I work with came from. So they offer a lot of classes. And so the idea is to really not just support this group of entrepreneurs, but to really cultivate entrepreneurship in Israel more broadly. So, but this didn't just kind of start in a vacuum. So you're probably wondering, what is this girl doing? Who is she? So this, I think, started a long time ago, before I was even born. I come from a family of female entrepreneurs. So the first one in my family was my great-grandmother. She had a catering business called Bubby's Better Baking. So I only wish that I had known her and been around for that, because I think I would have been her best customer. After that, my aunt had a floral business. She still has. But the real role model for me in all of this has been my grandmother. She has a jewelry business called Royal Creations. And so growing up, jewelry for me was always much more than just some kind of material thing. Whenever I would go visit her, she would show me things that she had just gotten in her collection, and she would talk to me about, oh, I got this necklace with your grandfather when we were in Japan, or this was your great-grandmother's, and she wore it when she got married, and so every piece of jewelry had a story. And so for me, jewelry always meant something much more. It was always kind of this way to connect with your ancestry, a way to kind of connect with your heritage. So it has always been important to me, and when I was a kid, instead of selling lemonade outside of my house, I decided I could make much more money if I was selling handmade jewelry. So I made a lot of jewelry, and none of it looked as good as this. I got like a couple of pity buys from our postman. He was like, this is so sad, and so he bought a couple of pieces. That was like the best selling day. So the kind of bottom line in all of this is this comes from a kind of long history in my family of knowing the power that female entrepreneurs can have, and knowing how transformative having your own income and having a business can have on the life of a woman. So, all right, so why Israel? When I was, fast forward from kind of the days when I was selling jewelry in front of my house, I had the opportunity to study abroad. When I was in college, I worked as a journalist in Qatar. I traveled in Israel, I traveled in Egypt. And one of the things that was really striking for me was meeting a lot of business women and seeing how much they had to overcome to start businesses, not only kind of cultural barriers, but economic barriers. And one of the more striking examples for me was Israel. So a lot of you, maybe if you don't work in the Jewish community, are probably wondering, why is she working with entrepreneurs in Israel? Israel is a developed country, it's rich, what's the big deal? So Israel has a big image problem. People associate Israel as, this kind of very wealthy country because it's the startup nation, and Tel Aviv has all of these startups sprouting everywhere. But in reality, there are lots of pockets throughout the country of people who really just do not have a lot and are struggling day to day. And that was most certainly the case when I was in Israel this past summer. I was there for about 15 days, and I was all around Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and you really see some very, very, very poor people everywhere. So what I was struck by, though, in all of this is that you see a lot of organizations working with artisans around the world and kind of helping to connect artisans to international markets. But oftentimes people aren't working in Israel because they kind of disregard the country because of political tensions, or they don't think that Israeli entrepreneurs need it, when in reality, Haredis or Arab Israelis are some of the most disadvantaged populations in Israel, and the Israel poverty numbers are just kind of startling. So that is why Israel, and that is why Tribelle is starting in Israel, both because I'm Jewish and I feel a strong connection to Israel, and because I think that this is a story that's not been really told. This is a story about Israel that I want to share and kind of spread. Because the story that we hear, all of you are in BC and kind of know what that story is, but it's certainly not one of people in Israel need your support or need your help in kind of helping them jumpstart their businesses. So, and just to be clear, these women that are making jewelry tonight, this isn't about, these like downtrodden women who are so poor. These are women who, yes, they're from low-income populations, but this is a story of empowerment. So this isn't like a handout, this isn't charity. This is about really helping women who are already, helping themselves and who are already really working hard to get a good product out there. So with that all said, I just wanted to open it up to a few questions before we get started with the official kind of part of the evening. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Well, Emma and I were talking earlier, and she had gotten the impression that a number of the, a number, maybe if not all, but some of them had been immigrants, and perusing the profile, it seemed like a number of the women that you're working with are from Ethiopia, and I just wanted you to give a little bit more of a nuanced perspective on who these women are within Israel.
Yes, absolutely. So you're absolutely right. Several of the women are Ethiopian. Israel has a very large Ethiopian population. It also has a large Sudanese population. So Israel accepts a lot of kind of refugees from other countries. One of the organizations that I'm actually working with that employs a lot of Ethiopian women is called Mejumeria, and basically what it is this is the only kind of more like collective organization that I'm working with, but they teach Ethiopian women who come to Israel how to make pieces of jewelry. And so they employ them, they give them a living, more than a living wage, and these women work in crafting this really beautiful jewelry that I will show later. But so beyond Ethiopian women, though, one of the women that I work with is from Russia. Actually, a couple of the women are from Russia. One is from Morocco, and then the other ones are Israeli. And I'm actually working right now, and if any of you know anybody, I'm working on reaching out to Arab Israeli communities to try to get women who are Arab Israeli and also Bedouin communities, because those are very kind of low income, hard hit communities as well. But absolutely, Israel